Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to teach you how to properly use the animation trigger. So, last time I made a video, both of those videos were a little bit broken, and I found way better ways to actually animate this stuff. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So first I'm just going to set up a slope here, and this is kind of how to do like what RobTop did, but of course you can just use like a normal animation if you want to. But what RobTop did in the sneak peek is he had like a saw come down and then start rolling down the hill, and it would always loop. So here's how you can do that. And this is almost exactly how RobTop did it because it works the same way. To begin, we are going to set our keyframe trigger down right above this block right here. And we are going to give this in here a group ID of 2. Don't set it to 1. Really just set it to whatever your next free group is, plus 1. And then give this your actual next free group. So for me, that's 1. You can copy this down and set up your next keyframe, but make sure you do not rotate anything, because I found out how to rotate properly without the whole animation breaking. So now you can really just set up your next couple of keyframes. So after you do that, what you want to do is set down your keyframe trigger, and whatever number your group is for each of these keyframe triggers, and make sure all of them have the group, by the way. So for me, this is 1, so I'm going to set this to 1. And then the target ID is actually the object itself. So I'm going to use a saw blade for this tutorial, but you can use whatever. And I'm actually going to set this to disable, so it's not going to have its rotating animation. And then just give this your next free group, so for me that's 3. And then the target ID in here is just 3 for both of these. And once this gets called, I'm going to set up a zoom trigger so you guys can see. So whenever this gets called, you'll see it goes down. And it follows the animation. Oh, I made a mess over here. So now this will follow the animation. And I'm just going to make this duration here a little bit faster. So what I just did is I just adjusted a couple of the timing settings for these. And then this can just have a bounce out easing. So this is really just like when it lands, it'll bounce and then it'll go down the slope. Just like that. So, this is our animation, and you can see it's not broken because we didn't rotate anything. But if you did, then there's a chance it will break with what we're about to do, so don't. So the next thing we're going to do is make it so that it does rotate. To do this, what you can do is give your object here a center. So, I'm just going to use this circle thing right here. And we're going to give it the group ID of your saw right here. So that's 3, and then another free group, which is 4, because this is the center object. And then we're just going to set up some rotation triggers. So right here, we're going to give this a degrees of 360, and then however long you'd like it to take to rotate. And then our target group ID is 3, and the center group ID is 4. So it's really just whatever is here, so this is 3 and that's 4. Oh. And then what you want to do is make sure you have duration lines on in the settings. So if you click pause and then the settings here right here, make sure duration lines are on. And just copy this over to the end of this duration line. And you don't have to do anything after that. So to loop it, all you're going to do is just select both of these triggers and then click create loop. And that's a new 2.2 thing, so that's pretty cool. And then you can just play, and you'll see it's constantly rotating now. This won't ever stop. Because rotating with keyframes, sadly, is just really buggy. Trust me, I've tried it. It took me like 5 hours yesterday, and I still couldn't get anywhere. So yeah, that's that. But now you want to loop them, and I found a much better way to loop them. So what you want to do is go to your last keyframe. For me, this is keyframe 4, and I'm just going to click close loop. And from there, you'll see this line, and you're going to set the duration here to 0. What this will do is when it gets there, it'll immediately go back up here, but it won't loop yet. To do the loop, what we're going to do is take our keyframe trigger and just put it somewhere else and set it to spawn triggered and multi-triggered. Then give it a group. So for me, this is group 8. And put a spawn trigger above it. So a spawn trigger above your keyframe. Also give this group 8 or whatever is here on your keyframe. And set this to activate group 9 or whatever your next group is. So also make sure you set this to spawn trigger multi-trigger. So the spawn trigger here should also be that. Then you want to copy this spawn trigger and move it to the left a little bit and make it spawn in group 8. Make sure it is spawn triggered and multi-triggered. And then give this group 9. So get rid of group 8 and then give it group 9. And then we're going to set down the starting spawn trigger. So we're just going to make this spawn in group 8, except it's touch triggered and not multi-triggered. So when you hit this, you can probably just put it at the spawn, but when you hit this, it'll start the animation. So I'm just going to move this here, and that should start the loop when I hit it. You can see it did, but it broke. But if it ever breaks, just try moving a couple of the triggers here, or the keyframes, and yeah, see, there. And then what you want is to spawn in group 8 right here. So this spawns in group 8. So what I just did is I edited the last keyframe here, and I just set this spawn group ID here to 8. And you can see, I don't know why it's being broken, but it is looping. So yeah, the animation trigger is a little bit buggy, but if it ever does bug out, just try moving the keyframes and it should work. So to curve these keyframes, what you want to do is just edit object. So before you copy a keyframe, edit object and then click curve. And then you can copy and paste it. And then free moving will create a curved line. So yeah, that's really how you, if you needed to curve, that's how you curve them. You can see it does do the curve thing. So, to animate groups, all you have to do is just give the whatever else is in your group the the group ID. So this is 3 because this saw blade right here is group 3. And then you can have more than one object, obviously. So if I do this, and then if I go here, you can see it's rotating and it's going perfectly. And yeah, thank you for watching. This took a really long time, so it would be really appreciated if you could subscribe. And yeah.